Captain Dan here, Goober Time Guide Service. Fall's here and it's getting cold outside. Before long it's going to be winter, so it's time that I get my diesel heater running in my boat. We have an enclosure on our guide boat that keeps our clients dry, but it doesn't necessarily keep everybody warm when the temperatures dip into the freezing territories. That's where this thing right here comes in. This is a diesel heater from H-Calorie, and I've been running this thing for about a year and a half, and it's been pretty excellent for me. This is the one I use in my camping setup. Last winter I had a more permanent setup installed on the boat, but it kind of failed me and left me cold one day out there, so I want something I can store indoors and out of the elements so it keeps me warm when I need it to. This is gonna be a real easy project today, and if you have some kind of enclosure on your boat, you can hook this up real easy too if you just think a little bit. Before we dive into this video here today, everything from the diesel heater all the way down to the fittings can be found on Amazon, and I've gone ahead and linked them down in the description for you. In case you want to pick any of these pieces up, you can incorporate them into your system, and all the links are in one spot. Let's dive into this diesel heater and see why this is really the key to the system here. This is an all-in-one diesel heater from H-Calorie. Pretty inexpensive, relatively speaking. It's got the built-in diesel tank. You can use anything you want in there, like kerosene, diesel fuel. I've got some diesel fuel in there right now. It's got a 5 kilowatt heater in there, so it pulls in some fresh air out of this side and outputs your heated air out of this side. Now we do have combustion going on in this unit, which is handled on the back side, which I've made a little bit of a modification to this to make it work on my boat. Coming around to the back side, there's typically a long exhaust pipe that comes snaking out and gets all crazy. I wanted it to be a little bit more compact, so I just bought a 90-degree elbow and used the muffler that came on it. I do have one of these plugs, if you remember from our Newport Vessels video. That's the same plugs we used in there. So that's actually what I bought it for, as a diesel heater, and it just so happened to work with the trolling motor setup too. Worked in our rudder video as well. So that just makes a really nice compact system right there that's not going to get in the way or get broken. And then the fresh air for the combustion gets pulled from underneath the tank here. The one thing I really appreciate about this diesel heater is it comes with a 120 volt power bank right here, so you can plug that into the wall if you wanted to use this in a house or to heat up a shop or a shed or anything like that. But it also comes with this 12 volt lead right here, and I just went ahead and threw an Anderson plug on there. I also rigged up a little harness that's going to run right to my battery in my boat, or actually my fuse panel from where I'm going to install this, with an Anderson plug, so I can plug that in real easy and run off my boat's 125 amp hour lithium battery, which should be plenty to support this. Now this right here is your controller. That's a little bit shielded. I wouldn't say it's watertight in that compartment right there, but it's a little shielded from the elements, and that's going to help you power up, change your settings, change your temperature. But this unit itself is also Bluetooth compatible, and over on this side you get a remote too, so you really have 3 options for how you want to set this thing up and control it. I know I typically plug this thing into power at the house, and when I'm almost to the boat ramp I turn on Bluetooth on my phone and let it power up and start heating the enclosure, so it's nice and warm by the time I'm climbing in the boat. I did buy a little bit more robust system right here for the exhaust. This is a 3-inch pipe. It's got the typical aluminum foil type stuff inside, but it's wrapped in a little more durable PVC type coating. So I found that to work really well for me, especially when it's out on the boat moving around a little bit. You could also consider some hard ducting depending on where you're going to install this. It does kind of accordion and pack up pretty nicely, and I'm pretty happy with it. So there's not really a whole lot more to talk about. We just need to get out to the boat and get this install going. All right, so I'm gonna be installing this on the front of my boat here. You can see a couple holes from my old diesel heater install. So I removed that prior to this video, and we're gonna get this thing going with the new install. First line of business for us here is getting a hole drilled. I'm going to be installing this 3-inch vent accepting clip right here, this little adapter in the front of the boat. So I've got a hole saw that's going to be, it doesn't have to match perfectly. You're just letting air pass through. It's not like you have anything that needs to match up perfectly flush inside of there. This is coming in at 75 millimeters, so we're going metric here. But I've already laid this out. It's going to cover up all my old holes and kind of clean up that install for me there. And don't click off this video right now. I know you're thinking we're about to drill a giant hole in the boat and you don't want to do that, but I do have a fix for that later, so just stay put. Now, I'm not saying you have to throw this video a thumbs up, but what my sources tell me is that if you don't, you're going to have this plan to go out for a winter day of fishing on the boat with either your diesel heater or your propane heater, and you're going to run out of fuel. So the easiest thing you can do is just hit that thumbs up, make sure that luck stays on your side. It only takes a second, it's free, and it really helps the channel out, and we thank you for your support. With a 3/16 inch drill bit, I'm just going to widen up my holes a little bit on this adapter, and it's real close as it is. Just going to clean them up, make sure I can get my bolts through. And now we need to line this up, and you can already tell that hole's a lot cleaner than what it was. So we're just going to line this up pretty much anywhere that we want, make sure it's centered, and start drilling our holes through here. Just to help keep things aligned, as I get a hole in there, I'm going to put my bolt through just to keep everything centered here. So on the back side, I'm going to put a washer and a nylock nut for each of those bolts, and we're going to be well on our way to getting this project done here. I have a spot right here. My console is just a fold in the aluminum. Didn't have to drill any holes or anything. I can feed that right on through. Really easy power run. And pick it up on the inside and bolt it in. Setup's really a breeze from here. Now, I do have my diesel heater positioned like this, and I am worried about the vinyl kind of getting burnt up here. So I bought this heat shield barrier. I'm going to slide that underneath the diesel heater. That's just going to help deflect the heat a little bit. So really, when it comes to install, there's only a couple steps. Get your diesel heater down, get your heat barrier if you need it. I've got these fast clamps right here. So all I'm gonna do is put one over my 3-inch, loosen it up quite a bit, pull that through, and work it around the 3-inch inlet. All right, these are stainless steel, so they're not gonna get beat up in the weather, sitting in the elements. Make sure you got some purchase on that adapter there and snug it down, and she's not going anywhere. Now for power, remember we've got that Anderson plug on the outside of the power outlet here. So really all we have to do is slide this thing to the side. There's a little flap where you can plug in the outlet here and then connect to power. Now one thing I'm probably gonna do is hook some kind of rope to here around my rod holders just so this doesn't go sliding around everywhere, and just to keep it in place a little bit. I've also got a little eyelet in the track here I can use. So I'll use some kind of combination of those, but I'll play around with that another day. Now on my dash panel, I've got this on-off switch right here. So we're gonna flip that on. We've got power. You can see the diesel heater start to power up there. And we're just gonna test her out. Start heating, crank her up. Use Bluetooth from there if you want to. If you use these plugs, don't forget to take those out. That's important. Now let's put it right inside the case so I don't forget it. Now it is a pretty warm day out, and this is thermostatically controlled, so I'm not sure it's gonna really do much, but I do wanna make sure she heats up and starts pumping. You can really hear that thing cranking away now. Got some nice hot air coming out the top of it. 210 degrees there on the thermometer. Let's go inside and see what we got coming out down here. 149 degrees coming into the cab. It's gonna keep everybody nice and toasty in here, especially my toes. All right, I'm satisfied with everything, so I'm gonna go ahead and shut her down. Just gonna run through her fuel burn off cycle. Then I'll show you one more trick we got up our sleeves here to keep things nice and tidy. So now that we're done, I'm gonna pop my 3-inch vent off. I'm gonna leave my clamp on right there. And I bought these little covers right here on Amazon, which just absolutely perfectly fit over the top of that. You could even use your clamp to make sure it doesn't ever blow off in the wind or anything. I really don't think it's going anywhere. So let's put that cap on, put the clamp over it, and then you've got all your pieces whenever you need it. Just bring the diesel heater, plug it in, and you're golden. That's why I love that nice little all-in-one setup right there. Perfect, doesn't get much better than that. Pretty easy install today. Hopefully that's something you can incorporate into your boat setup to keep you nice and toasty on those cold winter days out there. Make sure you poke around our channel page. We have all kinds of fishing projects and DIYs. I'm sure you're gonna find something that you like. And go check out a couple videos I left in the description because this one's done and we're out of here.